Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdi, ji ayanu, khuyamorikh, bakhair ragle. Welcome to Well This Morning with Shizza Hashmi, ladies and gentlemen, on a beautiful, beautiful Friday morning. Please do remember us all in your prayers because definitely it is Friday and we definitely make special prayers on Friday. That is why I asked. So ladies and gentlemen, for all of those who do live in the Twin Cities, last night we had such a horrible thunderstorm over here. I mean, just in the morning I was coming to my work and trees were all over the roads and this was such a mess, especially in Islamabad, in some major parts of Islamabad. I really hope all of you are safe out there and I really hope people that you are related to are safe as well. Take care of yourselves. Well, what are we talking about today? We will definitely get back to that, but I have a small news for you and I just read this early in the morning. Archaeologists in Peshawar have actually found out a site which happened to be a workshop in the Indo-Greek era. This was centuries ago. How amazing is that? I mean, this was near Hayatabad area in Peshawar. So, well, of course, Pakistan happens to be, so culturally diverse. We have so many things, and especially now coming to archaeology, when the southern Punjab itself is so popular with its historical culture, then we have Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, and now finding these things in Peshawar, it's so good to look at. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today is the 26th of April, and in 1970, there's an organization. It's called World Intellectual Property Organization. It was, established in 1970, and later on, they themselves decided that they need to observe a day where they need to, celebrate the creativity of one's mind. That is how they decided there should be a specific day, especially in April, to celebrate World Intellectual Property. When you're talking about intellectual property, for all the people who don't know out there, including me, I'll tell you, to be very honest, I did have an idea what intellectual property was, but to think there was a specific day given to it, I mean, it's definitely so amazing because we do need awareness about it. So as I already mentioned, this is the creativity of your mind. It includes all forms of arts. I mean, it's paintings, it's singing, it's acting, and then there are trademarks and everything, copyrights for your own music, for your own game if you're a sports person. And I mentioned a sports person because this year specifically the theme of World Intellectual Property Day is related to sports. This year, we are celebrating the sports industry because, a few years back, this was in the last century when we spoke about sports, this was just a game, probably cricket, few men playing cricket for, their neighborhood. But now it has become so global that so many people are stakeholders in it. I mean, there are stadiums, then there are people who own the stadiums. There are marketing brands who are associated with the teams. There are brands that athletes themselves have created. So specifically, we are definitely, celebrating sports, but also we will be discussing what the prevalent condition of the protection of intellectual property rights in Pakistan is. And to talk about that and also to raise awareness about that, to share their own journey, we've been joined by some guests who are definitely so apt for this. One of them happens to be a part of my team as well. He is the coordinator of my show. But before that, I feel like ladies first, so I shall be, introducing Mehroz over here, who happens to sit on my right-hand side. She happens to be a public speaker as well. Mehroz Jarar Ali, assalamu alaikum, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm absolutely great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad that you called me today on this in this topic
We're so
and this
pleased
show.
to have you.
And the reason for that is because I always heard about intellectual property rights, right?
Right. And now we need to discuss it.
We have
Definitely
to discuss it.
we'll come to the discussion. But next to Mehroz, ladies and gentlemen, as I already mentioned, the coordinator of my show happens to be an aviation photographer. How amazing is that? This is none other than Dawar Khan. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Walaikum assalam.
How do you feel like being this side of the show?
Yes, absolutely something unique after
Really?
5 months.
After 5 months, absolutely. Because he, ladies and gentlemen, there's a huge team that goes behind our show. Shahzad and I are definitely the face of the show, that we, communicate with you, interact with you, but such a huge team goes behind the show as well in the control room, and Dawar is one of the people. So to begin with, you happen to be a public speaker and you happen to be an aviation photographer.
Absolutely.
So I feel like you definitely do have a creativity of your own mind. And if someone was to violate that, and someone was to take that away from you and be like, hey, I'll take the, ownership of it, you would definitely be discouraged.
Definitely.
So why do you feel like there was let's say, a need to observe this day?
The need to observe this day is, I'll give a personal example.
Okay.
So when I have to go out and prepare for my speech, if it's a 40-minute speech, so I'm preparing for about 38 hours, and that includes the research, reading of books, drafting, planning, putting the presentation together, and all of the components. And if I'm putting in all that effort and then someone else just watches my video or watches my work or looks at my work and then takes that away in 2-3 minutes and has the ability to memorize that stuff, and they're smart enough to repeat all of that like a parrot, then it's very discouraging for me.
And it has happened
it's
to you?
heartbreaking. It has happened to
Wow.
me. It has happened to me in the sense that when I started off in university, I did a topic on confidence.
Okay.
And it was a very small speech in 3 to 5 minutes, but it took a lot of time. Honestly, 3 minutes, it took a lot of time, and I didn't imagine it would.
Wow.
But by the time someone else in another semester was saying word towards the same speech as I had, it made me feel really violated. I felt like, why should I put my creative side out there if someone can just come along, string along, and just
not
take
even
it away?
credit you.
Not even
the
credit
matter.
me.
Yeah.
That's the main part. Crediting other
Absolutely.
people and their work is very important. It's about consent, because the other person should be aware of the risks and benefits of something that's their property being taken away.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Beautifully explained, Mehroz. But moving on to you, Dawar. Before you tell me why do we need to celebrate this day, I feel like you should tell me how you started the journey of being an aviation photographer. Because, every other day I feel like, Mehroz, we come across pictures of, planes in the air on our Instagram and on our Facebook.
And we
but
just
we
take a
never know
screenshot.
who these people are. And you were one of them. So how did it start?
Actually, my home was quite in the vicinity of an airbase in Rawalpindi. So when I was 3-4 years old, I used to see the planes taking off every day, every morning, and facing the sunburns since that age.
Okay.
So after that, when my father had a phone with a camera, then I used to video the planes and everything. Then came my equipment, normal camera.
Okay.
So then I switched to a professional gear 2 years ago. And now, alhamdulillah, I'm doing good with the.
Of course you are, mashallah. So how has it been? I mean, do you enjoy doing it? And did this ever happen to you? I mean, no names, of course, you don't have to cite, anyone. But someone stole your pictures without even asking you and then didn't even credit you?
Absolutely. Recently, there was an incident that my photograph of a plane, a solo plane, that was initially stolen by someone. And then it was captioned that Ammi Dahi le aao. So that was quite absurd to me, that why would somebody disrespect the copyrights? Why would somebody disrespect a photograph? So that was the whole thing that I wanted to talk on as well in the show. That intellectual property, respecting the copyrights, it is quite important for any admin of the page of the Facebook or Instagram.
Definitely. And since we are talking about intellectual rights, ladies and gentlemen, a trademark happens to be a part of it as well. And I just came across news last night. PepsiCo is suing farmers in India because they are now growing potatoes similar to what they use for making Lay's chips.
Okay.
And that is amazing to look at because they claim this is our trademark. So they just picked out that we are going to grow these potatoes. Koi aur aloo nahi uga sakta. First of all, of course, I mean, it does sound ridiculous, but also this is the protection of rights we are talking about. And they know their rights. But talking about rights protection in Pakistan, what do you feel like the prevalent condition is? Or did you ever feel like if violation did happen to you, you would be able to stand against it legally?
I would personally think we are very fragile in the legal sector right now. There are so many aspects that we haven't covered.
Okay.
Obviously, because we are a third world country, let's admit to the fact that that's the truth. But there are so many aspects that we haven't covered. Like if someone violates, as he's a photographer, if someone takes his picture and he needs to sue them, he needs to. A lot of people will just think it's an absurd idea. They'll be like, it's just a picture,
Exactly.
It's just a picture. You can take another one, and so what? And the whole concept of let it go, let it be. It's all right. So yes, there's a lot of fragility in the legal system, and I think it's very tough to put yourself out there because I think the person who has come up with the creative idea would suffer more than the person who has stolen it because of the power. There's always a power difference. A lot of the time, it tends to be the powerful people that tend to take ideas, creative ideas, because they see potential.
Being questioned.
Yes, because they see the potential in that idea, and they know there's a gap in the market that person probably cannot see because of lack of investment, finance, and so much more. So they tend to take that idea, and that person is then left out in the society to deal with that. It's psychologically damaging, not just financially, because they could earn a lot. They could generate a lot of revenue from just having their idea put out there. Because in the contemporary era, we've got so many things that are happening, being creative is very hard. So when someone comes out with something creative, they need these laws. They need to be protected.
Definitely. What do you feel about this, Dawar?
I second this lady absolutely, because there is a sincere, serious need to amend the laws and bring up the copyright laws. Because being a photographer, I can feel that pain, that pinching, that whatever happens when your photographs are stolen. And it's quite common, and often these days people are stealing the pictures on the Facebook and Instagram. So I would second this lady overall.
I'd like to also add that I was thinking last night about this, and the whole idea of broadcasting and media rights, all of that has changed, right? And the reason for that is social media. Where social media plays a very positive role, it plays a very negative role. Sports, for example, where investors are investing for broadcasting rights, media rights, image rights. Someone in the stadium can just get up and do a live video and put that all out there, right?
Absolutely.
Because when you're putting out broadcasting, I was reading up the media rights, about the media rights, and it was National Football League of the US, and they apparently, just for their media rights, estimated it's $225 million that they earn annually, and then they give that to teams. And for their broadcasting rights, they earn about $6 billion just on their broadcasting and media rights, two aspects, right? And if social media is giving us that platform to violate that, who is accountable in social media? Who is accountable for Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat putting all these stuff live out there? So people are not going to tune into TVs anymore to watch that stuff.
That's so true. But Dawar, since your work is usually found on social media, thank you for linking me to it, Mehroz. I have definitely studied it as well, and I know for a fact that cyber harassment laws are definitely in place. And since you're, a lot of people actually steal pictures of your face even to use on their profiles, which is definitely illegal and prohibited.
Absolutely.
So do you feel like if something like this happened to you on a major scale with your pictures, the photography that you do, would you take a legal stand?
Actually,
you do have the rights, I'm telling you, especially on social media.
How many people you can take the legal stand against? Because there is a lot of, sort of, you call awam on the Instagram and Facebook who is stealing the pictures, and you are so done with this thing. But it is about the moral ethics, that respect the person, respect the copyrights. That's the entire scenario that the nation or the people shall realize. Without this realization, I think the laws cannot also work properly.
Okay, that makes sense. So since we are, ladies and gentlemen, when you talk about property, it's something physical that you own. But intellectual property, yesterday I was discussing this with my friends, and some of them were like, what even is the concept of intellectual property? I mean, anything that you are generating, not with your hands, but with your mind. My brain is, spending hours doing that. Definitely, I'm going to take credit for that. So I definitely, absolutely forgot what I was going to ask. Okay, found it. Copyrights, yes. So, I was reading about copyrights. This was during my bachelor's, of course, and it said if a person, passes away and has produced any sort of art, music, and whatever, 50 years after he has passed away, anyone can take, charge of whatever his work was. Yes. And lately we do see, there's people like Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Saab, and people all over the globe are using his music. Most of the time with consent, definitely, from his family, but sometimes even without consent, because we do even come across news that does happen. Being a Pakistani, I feel bad about that. What do you say? Dawar, let's start with you.
I would say that singing is something quite crucial as well. It is almost stolen everywhere in the world. But about Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, he needs to be, acknowledged always. Without the acknowledgement, stealing the content of this much big singer, he's so famous.
Right.
He was once in Japan as well. He was taken for some movie. I believe in the stories of Nusrat I read.
Okay.
So I believe that singing is something more crucial than photography. Yeah.
Okay. So Mehroz and Dawar, now here's the question. So since you both are sort of artists, you create your own stuff, right? So you, being the educated lot, luckily privileged ones, do expect people to respect your privacy or respect the work that you've created. But unfortunately, so many segments of the society out there don't even realize there's a need to do that. I'll tell you, let's talk about cosmetics industry. I'm not going to name out anything, but a lot of makeup products, cosmetics in Pakistan are dupes of the original products. Mehroz, you will agree with me, right? So, okay, everyone knows Kylie Jenner and Kylie lip kits and everything. And I watched a video where, Kylie Jenner did a crackdown on a random market where there were fake lip kits selling. Imagine if she comes to Pakistan and comes across all the lip kits selling over here for less than half the price that she actually does. What will happen? So Dawar, where do you feel like we need to start with realizing as a community, as a nation?
I would again
respect others to be respected, right?
Respect. I would second this thought, and I would again refer to my initial statement that it is about the realization. If the manufacturers in Pakistan and the people who are doing it, if they are not realizing this, then the laws, the copyrights, they will not be mattering enough.
Right.
Yeah. So realizing as on a mass scale in the society, this will gradually change the trends.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Without this, the trends would remain the same, and every day you will see the replicas and these things coming up, which are discouragement for the creativity. The theme
Absolutely,
of today, respecting creativity. The creativity would be diminishing with time if this thing will continue to happen.
True, that's so true. What about you, Mehroz?
I just want to add two things. One thing is, I second him about the realization part. Awareness is very important. Up until organizational level, these people are grown-up people.
Yeah.
They're adults. They should not be made to realize about ethical, and they should know these things at this point.
They're just lazy
right?
to produce their own
right.
stuff.
Right. So the realization and awareness starts at a very smaller level. From schools, colleges, and universities, these things need to be addressed apart from academics, right? And another issue that I do understand is that in third world countries, yes, there's not enough finance to buy things. So then there should be alternates for people who cannot afford stuff like that.
Right.
So
that is what I was coming to. Yes.
Instead of copying things completely, bring up an original idea that facilitates your society and your people.
Absolutely.
So you're looking at domestic products then, rather than international products.
Yeah, and Mehroz, that actually leads me to my next question. Again, thank you for linking me. Since you mentioned there's no shame in accepting that Pakistani nation people living in Pakistan, a huge number of them, need products that are, again, affordable. We were talking about, replicas and everything. Every other day, some amazing Pakistani designers come out with their new designs and, products. And the very next day, we have their replicas at such an affordable price, Mehroz, that a person even living on the streets can afford to wear designer, right?
Definitely.
Good for them. Good for them. I mean, they want to feel good for them. But again, they're copying the design. So why shouldn't we enable them in a way that they come up with their own creativity on such low prices, right?
Right. But I think the issue is, again, what you said, they're lazy. The manufacturers are lazy. If they've got an idea out there, there are not enough legal rules and rights out there to hold them accountable.
Right.
So they're like, why should we bother? Might as well just pick up this design and put it out there for most of the population to afford it, because most of the population cannot afford high-end, high-street brands. And they have hearts, they have feelings, they want to be part of good things, they want to look good. So what they exploit these factors.
Right.
They know that there's no legal
find a loophole.
Yes,
Just,
exactly. Gaps.
That's
That's what a lot of organization, businessmen, that's the whole game, find the gap in the market and then target that.
Yeah.
So that's the issue, that then at that point we need legal bindings.
Right, absolutely. So Dawar and Mehroz, since you both have been students, now the issue that I'm now going to say, I'm pretty sure you both have faced as well. So I was studying multimedia journalism in my later years of bachelor's, and one of my class fellows, we were supposed to, of course, write stories and get them published and everything. One of them wrote an amazing piece. And then my teacher took credit for it. He got it published under his name.
Yes.
I mean, it's so unfair to the person himself who came up with all the hard work, who went to these places to find out the facts. But this does happen. I mean, usually in schools and universities as well. Have you ever been prey to it? If not, how do you feel like we can stop this? Dawar, let's start with you.
Actually, when you are a junior in the university, seniors can use you at times for the research work. Yeah, so they can ask you to make the research papers for them in a friendship gesture.
Yeah, okay.
But this is quite, I believe it is quite illegal, because the credit is not going to you.
Right.
You are not getting any sort of incentive to it. So incentive is a must-give thing to a person who is using his creativity, doing the research, doing the hard work. So I regularly see the stolen content on research, plagiarized content as well in the research papers. That's quite, a disaster to a person who has done it.
Absolutely.
So you being a student as well, I know that
I know it has happened to me too. And to be honest, I even have committed plagiarism myself, because let's face it, I mean, every other day we have to do assignment.
Absolutely.
It's so boring to work. I hate studying, to be very honest. And then it's so convenient to just open Google and find the first thing, perfect thing and just copy it. But again, it's wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Never do that. This is not a good thing that I do. What do you think about this, Mehroz?
For the first question, basically, yes, I wouldn't name anyone, obviously, but I've seen certain professionals actually hire students to do their research work and work that they will publish under their name. So technically the effort is the students, but they publish it under their name, which is absolutely wrong. Unless, if you're giving that person credit for it, fair enough.
It's cool.
Makes sense. But again, if you're not giving them credit, then how does it sit well with you owning someone else's work? One thing. The second thing is, when we talk about plagiarism at university level, I think, again, the issue is with the system. I'm not 100%, I'm not saying that what students do is right, but I think that the issue is with the system, because we're not trained to work practically.
Right.
Throughout our college years.
That is so true.
Right?
We've never been, I can't say never, but usually we're not taught, right?
We're not independent workers, right?
That's true,
so my teenage years were spent in the UK. I was privileged enough to have that opportunity, right? So I have always been an independent worker.
Wow.
So when I get research work, assignments or presentations, my first thought is not to go to my friends or team members or whatever. My first thought is to get down to work, research, put my idea. How can I make it different? How can I be different from the rest of the students? Put my personal touch in it.
Right, absolutely.
So, but that has been built throughout my teenage years, throughout my GCSEs and A-levels. Yes, it definitely takes time. And our system is just about drilling information into the minds, but not letting children think independently on their own.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing that I definitely think that needs to be addressed as well.
Beautifully put, Mehroz. But towards the end, since we are about to wrap the segment, this is for both of you. A few years down the lane, where do you see your work going? And also, Dawar and Mehroz, since you have definitely faced it yourself, violation of your personal property, intellectual property, what do you expect from the authorities, from the right concerned authorities, to develop any sort of laws to protect people like yours works? Let's start with you, Dawar.
I would request the people who are in charge for this thing, especially the social media. They do respect that a person has the copyrights, but despite the reporting, the content doesn't go. The content several times doesn't go.
Okay.
So about the government. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dawar, we
So
also
my
have your
photographs are
pictures.
here.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that is me photographing the helis recently on the 23rd March.
Wow.
Yeah. So
must be so much fun, though.
Yeah, these are the
This
J10s
is beautiful.
recently.
And I'm just imagining the, magnitude of a lens, man.
Yeah, this is the
Wow.
Chiefs plane, Flares F-16.
This is so amazing.
Yeah, these are the planes which come down Sherdals during the
Wow.
performance.
Wow. Our producers are saying, we didn't even know you did this work. No, but this is so, mashallah, amazing. And it must be also so thrilling to watch, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. These are brave hearts from Risalpur.
Perfect. This is so beautiful. And it's work like this, Dawar, that why wouldn't I copy this?
Exactly, it's so appealing.
Mashallah,
Crossing
so
from the
beautiful.
sun, J10s. Yeah.
This is absolutely thrilling. Okay, so you were saying, how would you want the authorities to sort of build laws around this?
I believe they shall at least secure the people who are doing creative work.
Yeah.
Yeah, from some sort of law. The amendments are coming. The system is changing a little bit.
Okay.
But it is not with the pace it should be. This is my humble take on this, that the government shall realize something on the social media as well.
Right.
The laws, the amendments, yeah.
Right, definitely. Thank you so much for saying that. What about you, Mehroz?
I feel, 5 years from now or 10 years from now, I would definitely want to be a successful public speaker, in the sense that I would want to make an impact on young people's life.
Right.
Because I'm a young person and I understand how it feels regarding certain issues like this as well. It's a youth issue, definitely is. And with authorities, I think, as much as I understand the legal part, I personally believe that you have to create empathy, you have to create certain feelings within the population.
Right.
So when they're in positions of where they have to be very responsible, they can take that independent decision. Yes, not 100% will, but at least 80 or 70% are working towards knowing the difference between ethical and unethical work.
Absolutely.
Right. And also, one more thing for the authorities that I want to add is, according to the theme, definitely it's sports. The sports industry is huge, and we need more of it in Pakistan. The reason is because if we integrate tourism and sports together, we are bringing so much revenue. PSL is the greatest example, but if you look at the World Cup that happened last year in Russia, there were people from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan. One of my best friends was there. All of them were there, and if they're doing nothing but just buying souvenirs, they are contributing towards your economy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that. And thank you so much for being on my show, especially early in the morning. You both were a delight to talk to. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, we definitely did discuss World Intellectual Property Day. And you know, it's not just something that you yourself own. If you're a part of Pakistan and if you're part of any sort of intellectual property, you are directly or indirectly adding to the economy of the country as well. You're bringing name to your country. We will definitely have another interesting and, you know, some very insightful discussion in the next segment. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Good morning. Welcome back to World This Morning with Shizza Hashmi on such a refreshing and a pleasant Friday morning. As I said, this was going to be a very short break. Well, it was just, I'm pretty sure, less than a minute. But ladies and gentlemen, in the first segment, there was this one thing that we talked about, and it is such an important, a grave and a prevalent issue in Pakistan. There are some high-end brands, and definitely they produce some amazing, some very good-looking stuff. And everyone that I know, everyone and anyone belonging to any segment of the society feels like, you know, buying those things or owning those things or even wearing in case of, you know, clothing brands and whatnot. But unfortunately, sometimes they're not affordable for a lot of people. So this is the gap where, you know, some smaller companies come in and make replicas of the very same design that the designers have put out. Again, illegal thing to do. But is there a way where we can, you know, sort of fill the gap by legal things? I mean, is there a responsible youth in the country who can probably fill the gap? Well, the answer to my question is yes, ladies and gentlemen. This happens to be right here in my studio. He's someone who happens to be an entrepreneur. He is Omar Kamar from Export Leftovers, ELO, if I'm not wrong. He's on your Facebook, on your Instagram, all over the social media as well. You know, one of, let's say, the pioneers of something this big in terms of e-commerce, because when we do look at e-commerce, this was just probably a decade down that it became so popular in Pakistan. So Omar Kamar it is. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the show.
Thank you for for having me, Shizza. My story is when I came back from UK after studying for my bachelor's and master's, I came back and I realized very quickly that even though Pakistan is one of the biggest exporting nations in the world when it comes to textiles, we don't see the top quality products when we go to the local market here. And I saw a huge gap. And because I come from a textile background, it was very easy for me to kind of take that idea and implement it because I already had a manufacturing facility. So with a lot of when it's export orders, a lot of the times we have excess fabric and accessories. So what we do is when the export order is shipped over, we take that fabric, we take those zips, we take those buttons, and we try to be creative and make something for the local market.
Using the very same quality.
Yes. Wow. So the fabric and the zips and the buttons are for the export order. But once the export order has been shipped, we just take all of that. We take the leftover fabric and accessories and create something new. So we have a brand called Polo Republica, which does that.
Oh, that is absolutely beautiful. For all the people who don't know, they basically have a website, right? That is how you guys operate. So they produce for some major international brands. We all know Faisalabad happens to be, let's say, the textile hub, right? So they definitely, create products and clothing products. And again, like you said, zippers and, undergarments and everything for international brands. But a huge chunk of that is often left over in Pakistan. Where does that go? Why don't we utilize that? And why don't the people of Pakistan get to use the same, beautiful quality that the people living abroad do? So that is what Omar over here is doing. So Omar, I came across a video of yours on Facebook where you're giving a tour of your factory and everything. But I don't think we can play that over here right now. Can you just give a, gist of what happens over there?
So basically, in the video, I explain about the leftover waste which is occurring in Pakistan. Every year, in the knitted garment industry, we waste about 60 million kilograms of fabric. Wow. Which we don't do anything with that. Wow. So it can be like small pieces of fabric, collars, small stuff. But it's a lot of fabric, and we use that fabric to make something cool. So we are utilizing the fabric to make a clothing line. And my angle is that if you really want to start a green revolution, you need to make the sustainable products affordable and available for everyone. So I'm educating people in Pakistan that there is this huge waste and we need to take care of that.
Yeah, Omar, you know what? We will definitely come to affordability because that is what we do need to touch upon. But since today is Intellectual Property Rights Day, I want you to tell everyone out there that the products, that the fabric and everything that you are using, you're not using that under any brand, under the name of any brand, first of all, and you are using it with their permission, right? That is so true. So there's nothing illegal. And now coming to affordability. Let's say if I were to buy something, let's say if I were to buy shoes or even my yoga pants from Nike, I cannot afford it from, let's say, the salary I have right now. But I do want it. It's a need, right? So I will come to your website and there I can get it for half the price of, like, I'm not asking you the exact price, but something estimately of,
Yeah, it's very, very low because for us, when it comes to manufacturing, it doesn't cost you that much. It's all with the branding, you go to the shop, they have to pay the rents, they have to pay the, salaries of the people. So the major buildup is in the retail industry. So we give you the factory direct prices. We built a small margin over the product cost and then we sell it to you. But it's still a fraction of the price which you pay at the retail stores.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we say you buy at factory direct prices. That's the whole concept behind export leftovers.
Okay, so Omar, I feel like you just want Pakistan to look amazing, right? Also, so my question is of course, if there's a huge chunk of fabric left, you can definitely do whatever you want with it. But let's say if there's just this amount of fabric left, you don't want to throw it away. What do you do with it?
So we make pencil cases out of it.
Oh, wow.
So what we are trying to do is we are trying to eliminate all, no waste. So that's the no waste policy in the factory right now. So we are currently working with my factory, my father's factory. We have used about 500,000 kilograms of fabric, and we have gotten about 300,000 kilograms of fabric from other factories across Pakistan. So we are working with about 34 factories. So we take fabric from all these smaller factories and bring it to our factory, and we try to brainstorm and think about how can we make it? How can we make something cool?
Wow,
So,
I mean,
so that's what we do. So we're trying to help smaller players in the market as well, because we buy the fabric. So they don't give it to us for free. We buy the fabric from them, and we give them some money, and then we take them to our factory and do the creative process and make something.
Wow, that is so great. I mean, if I were to think what to do with a piece of cloth that is just this much, I would probably make it a napkin or a handkerchief. But so smart. Are you the creative mind behind all of this?
I think I have a very good team. So we sit down. We have got production guys, some creative people, some graphic designers.
Yeah.
So we sit down and we are like, okay, what can we do? So I get a lot of help from the production team, because they have been in the industry for over 35 years. Some of the people have been there for a very long time. So they know how to utilize the fabric in a better way than I do. So, it's a team effort.
So you've been lucky with the team.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, great. So since this is, all e-commerce, what sort of response have you been getting from the clients in Pakistan? I mean, the buyers in Pakistan.
Okay, so the buyers in Pakistan, the response has been overwhelming. We have got good reputation. People love us. But in the beginning, the biggest problem in Pakistan is the trust factor.
Yes.
So, like nobody really trusts you, So
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why, Umar, because this is even my personal experience, and I feel like everyone in the studio can relate to it as well. There are certain pages on Facebook or even that websites. You see, such pretty pictures of something, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this is that affordable. You immediately buy 3 or 4 similar products, and when it reaches, you cannot look at it. It's definitely the opposite of what you saw in the picture. You guys are not doing that. It's amazing, but that is where the trust issue comes from.
So yeah, that's how we were the first company in Pakistan, I think online and offline, to offer 30 days money back policy.
Oh, perfect.
So we were the first people who said, okay, you don't like the product, send it back, we'll refund your money. Before that, people were like, okay, it's 7 days, but you can exchange the product.
Right.
We'll not give your money back. And I was like, I believe in my product. My parents have been making textiles for over 35 years, so I know what we are doing. I know what we are selling. So I have complete faith in what I do. And that's what I want to prove, that if you really believe in your product, you should offer like a 30-day money-back policy, or to gain trust, because at the end of the day, you have to help the consumer as well.
Definitely. And Umar, you are, of course, adding and contributing to the economy of the country again in such a huge number, because if all of these products were to be wasted, first of all, we're not making any money out of it. Second, if we're making products for international brands, again, we're just bringing economy to their own country. So this is also sort of a gap that you filled. How do you feel about it, first of all? And for all the companies or the factories that don't do this, what amount of loss are they bringing to the country?
I think I cannot really calculate the figure, but yeah, it's a huge amount of money. And I think if you can use the creative minds, because we are all used to making the fabric, cutting it and exporting it. We don't really look at these leftovers. Leftovers was not really an industry like 5 years ago. So it has started to catch up, and now people are actually, I wouldn't blame the factories, because sustainability in Pakistan wasn't a huge thing.
Absolutely.
It still isn't a huge thing. So people do not look into these leftovers or these wasted fabrics in that sense, where you see it in Europe and America. People are very concerned about environment, pollution and all that.
It's just Europe, not America.
Unfortunately, Pakistan, nobody does that. But people are changing. So a lot of the factories now are approaching us and saying, okay, why don't you induct us in your program?
Wow.
So no, we are helping the smaller players, and we are taking their fabric and making something. But I would say I wouldn't really, it's a thought process, and it just started now. So I wouldn't really blame the factories, because sustainability actually wasn't a big thing.
Yeah, that's so true. But do you plan on expanding probably?
Yeah, of course. So we are working, so my background is in the knitted industry, knitwear industry. So we are working with some woven factories as well, which make linen, bed sheets, twill pants. So we're bringing in their leftovers, and we are trying to, we have a creative process of expanding the range and making more products out of these leftovers. Yeah.
Wow, so exciting. Definitely looking forward to that. But Omar, when you talk about leftovers, the word leftover itself is sort of, I'll be very honest, it is kind of derogatory. I mean, if someone was to tell me, hey, I bought you a gift from the leftovers, I'll be like, why? I don't even need that gift. So was there a sort of an image that you had to break before you did venture into this?
Okay, so with us, I would say we when we started off, we were like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. So it was like a small experiment.
It's a gamble.
Yeah, it was a gamble. And we were like, okay, I don't want to explain myself.
Right.
So it's export leftovers. It's something which was supposed to be exported but couldn't be exported.
Simple
leftovers.
as that.
But it has no faults. We guarantee 30 days money back policy. If it has a fault, we'll refund your money.
Wow.
So we just wanted to keep it simple. That's why we named it leftovers, export leftovers. That was the whole concept behind it. Now we have changed the name to ELO.
Yeah.
So because we are not selling leftovers now as well.
Okay.
So we are selling our own brand.
So basically you're producing them.
Yeah.
Leftover just means that they're extra.
Yeah,
I mean,
extra,
the
exactly,
actual amount is sent away and they are the leftovers. Well, what more can we say, right? So, okay, towards the end, Umar, a lot of people, a lot of youngsters that I personally even know want to be entrepreneurs, want to venture in something that you have done, mashallah. This is a camera. Talk to them, tell them how to make something sustainable, first of all, and then how to fill in these gaps and serve the country like you're doing.
So I would say, like, if you really believe in something, go for it. But in the beginning, you need to set, small goals, because people normally, overestimate themselves and they are like, oh, we are really smart. Somebody has done that, so we can do that. And then they set like ridiculous goals and they don't give themselves enough time. So they'll be like, okay, I'm going to be a millionaire by the end of the year. And, it's a journey. So you have to take small goals, achieve them, be happy. You'll feel confident when you achieve those goals, and then take on and then do the next goal. So it's a step-by-step process, and people normally don't look at that thing and they're just like, okay, I'm just gonna make
shortcuts.
money. Yeah, looking for shortcuts, exactly.
Thank you so much for saying that. That was absolutely brilliant. But very quickly, who is Umar Qamar, or let's say who is your company ELO 5 or 10 years down the lane?
So with ELO, we are planning to just sell Polo Republica, which is our own brand, which is the sustainable brand. And we obviously want to take it abroad. We are already working with small companies in Denmark, and we are trying to take it abroad, like the smaller ranges. So the main thing is we want to make it a complete brand. We want to get into knitted, woven, sports, shoes, everything, because we see there's a huge potential in the Pakistani market, and then there's textile waste across everywhere. So we can use those materials to make a sustainable brand. So that's the thing. That's the 10-year vision for us.
Wow, that is great. Good luck for your future endeavors. Thank you so much for being on my show early in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I definitely do feel like I did inform you about a lot of things. I myself am a learner. I learn when you learn. And, I always keep reiterating that when you are Pakistani, be Pakistani, buy Pakistani, basically. I mean, your local industry is so huge, you don't even know. I mean, I personally, I'm not going to name the brand, but the socks pair is made for 21 rupees in Pakistan and sold for 250 euros abroad. I'm never going to pay 250 euros for something that's made for, 21 rupees? So basically be Pakistani, buy Pakistani, contribute to your country's own economy, make name for your own country. If there's anything you learned from us, please write us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of Well This Morning. On Twitter, Well This Morning without a G. Daily Motion on YouTube, also Well This Morning. And if you've missed this, it's totally all right. You can catch the repeat at 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, good morning.
Fabulous repeat's going to be at
11 p.m.
till
tonight.
the next time, 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.
Magla Hills, the heaven of Islamabad. The abode of God, a place where you can explore your soul and meet power of natural elegance of mountains. Spread over an area of 12,605 hectares, the Magla Range, the foothills of Himalayas, are youngest hills with an age of 5,000 years old. Magla Hills are home to around 600 plant species, 250 bird varieties, 38 mammals, and 13 species of reptiles. Magla Range is characterized by many valleys, scenic spots, and beautiful water streams, especially in the monsoon months.
Right.
And we know, like, we used to see, like, Pakistani tele-serials.
Okay.
You know, like, it's quite, like, popular in, like,
Okay.
Nepal.
That's perfect as well.
Yeah.
So when we do come back from this performance, ladies and gentlemen, we will definitely ask Pavit over here to say something in Nepali so that I learn something as well. So let's head out to another stunning, stunning performance. So there are 6 performances we have to. Acha, now we should talk. Wow, blown away yet again, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty sure you're enjoying this as well, so do write to us the feedback. Now coming to tourism, one of the things that Pakistan and Nepal has in common are the peaks, of course. And when we're talking about North Pakistan specifically, the geography is typically the same. Yes. So what do you feel like? Let's start with you, Kashif, over here, because you have been a Pakistani. I'm pretty sure you've been to the north as well. Yeah. What can we learn from Nepal in terms of promoting tourism?
The Nepal is very rich as far as the tourist attractions are concerned, and they are well maintained as well.
All right.
I'm talking about the Kathmandu, the Himalayas.